Hi! Hi everybody! Welcome to Making a Graphic Novel. I am Alicia Dianne. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are coming here from Cartoon Arts Center, I want to say hello and a special welcome. We are recently back up and running, and we're going to be doing meetups every single week. So I hope that you guys are signed up. If you are in the Southern California area, you can go to meetup.com, and the group is Cartoon Arts Center. And if you're here from YouTube, which it's not on YouTube officially yet, we're going live from Facebook, but if you will be watching from YouTube, I want to say hi and thank you for watching. Facebook people, hi, thank you for being here. We're going to get started in just a minute. I got some pages that we're still working on for Jaydi's story. That's the story that I've been working on throughout this series, and my first official graphic novel that I'm making. But I do want to do a little shout out first, because I did recently illustrate a children's book, and it is now available on Amazon. I know it's like what is it called? What do you say when, like, it's like a little name drop or whatever, but anyway, I'm just really excited about it because it's a really good story. And if you haven't heard me talk about it, it's because, you know, I wasn't sure when the author was actually going to release it, and how much of the how much it was like under wraps at first, but now it's out there. It's available. It's up on Amazon. I think it's like $14, but this is what it's called. It's called Hats. It's available now. I illustrated all of it. It's a full color. It's all done in watercolor. So if you're interested, and if you have kids in your life, you can check this out. And I will put a link in the bio for you guys also for that. So let's go ahead and get started with our graphic novel, shall we? We're going to be working on, let me see what the spread number is. Spread number is 29. So we're doing spread number 29. It's two of these guys. I'm not sure how far we'll get in this hour, but let's get started. So I'm going to switch my view. Open that up. Get my lights going a little bit brighter. I need to grab something to drink too. Because I don't know where you are, but over here in SoCal it's super hot. I don't know what the weather is right now, but I can tell you just in this room it feels like it's 100. Probably not that dramatic, but it definitely feels that way for me, at least right now. I'm wondering, I'm going to actually go ahead and do the background elements of this piece first, just because I don't want to accidentally color them in black. This one is actually, I don't know how well you can see it. It's just a little frame, but it's actually just like an imagined scene, because I have my hero's best friend is just introduced, and she's talking about this woman in town that they really don't like, who just passes by, and she's saying, oh, one day she'll turn into a hyena and run back into the bush. And she's just kind of joking and saying, you know, there's no way this lady could be human. But this little scene right here of the hyena is actually just what she's saying being visualized, imagined by this girl, Sabrina, who has this sort of wild imagination. So that's what this scene is about. So it's not a literal scene, it's just a vision, I guess. And I've been wondering, like, because I have a few sort of visions in my story, and I was wondering if I should do those with like a different sort of a border, and kind of debating that, because I didn't think of that at first originally, but then I started, teaching comics over the summer, and being the assistant teacher anyway, and just like seeing even from these kids who had these ideas of, making their own graphic novels, and having these ideas of doing dream sequences, because that was kind of our theme, was actually sleepwalking. So I saw a whole bunch of dream sequences, and one of the things I noticed was one of the things that the main teacher who I was assisting, was recommending, hey, why don't you do this with like a different type of a border. And I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that myself, but I thought it was a great idea. And so I decided maybe I'll incorporate that some way. And even though, like, I don't think I have any necessarily dream sequences, it's more like visions and like imaginations, and perhaps one short dream, but for the most part it's like visions. And I'm wondering if I should do those with some different types of bubbles. Does it matter terribly? Not a whole lot, but if you can do something that impacts the way that your story is read, I think that's kind of our whole job as a graphic novelist, as a cartoonist. You're trying to make the story as interesting and engaging as possible, and so why not, if you can, think of ways to just make it that much more exciting, or whatever the case is. Hopefully my dog is not getting in trouble. Of course she is. For those of you who probably missed my last couple of talks, I guess, I have recently, not even recently anymore, it's like a whole month ago now. I think it's over a month. I got her June 18th, or June 18th was when I got my new puppy. And she's like tripled or quadrupled in size now. She's getting humongous, but that's the dog. She's a golden doodle. Her name is Skipper, and she's super sweet. But anyway, back to the comic. I like adding these different colors. I think it makes a difference in like the overall look that I'm going for. And I'm also learning, like, in my other time that I'm not doing this stuff, always trying to get better at something. So I'm trying to improve my overall, I don't know if it's just, I was gonna say digital painting, but I think it's painting in general. I think I'm always trying, well, recently especially, always trying to get better. And I think that's one of the things that perhaps that's a good topic for discussion today, is just continuously getting better. And what does it take to be the best? I'm a long ways from being the best at anything, but I don't know, maybe it's something that's good to strive for. That was something also that came up this week. A lot of people were talking about Simone Biles and, like, you know, what she's kind of going through with her struggles, and this concept of, like, you know, having your goal as being the best at what you do. I don't think it's something that's a bad thing to strive for, but also I think it's healthy to not become obsessed with it, and not to let it take over in like other areas of your life that are important to you, like family. If you're, I don't know, how much is it that you want the thing that you're after, like to get better with your drawing or painting, or to get that job that you really want. I think all of those things are great, and I think there's nothing necessarily wrong with trying to be the best, but I don't like competitiveness personally. So being the best, I guess, is being the best that you can really take yourself. And that's not like, you know, BSing yourself and saying you're super great when you're not. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know, I think there's some sort of a balance, because even I was saying the other day, I think that in many ways for artists, if you're going to keep doing this, you kind of almost have to think that you're better than you are. So you have to think that you're better than you are, but you, at the same time, I think one has to constantly be learning and growing, or else it'll be painfully obvious to you that you're not, you know. I don't know if what I'm saying makes any sense at all, but I think I have a point. I've been listening to these books lately, and it's by the author Brian Tracy, and he was saying, you know, in any given field, 80% of the people in said field are only making 20% of the total income being made in that field. It's like the 80-20 rule. I know you guys heard of that, at least if you're over 30 or maybe even over 16. It's called the Pareto principle. Like, just like 80% of what you do is not the most important part, but 20% is. I don't know how to generalize it, but that's basically what it means. It's like 20% of all the people in your industry will get 80% of the work, and vice versa, because 20% of the people are actually going above and beyond. It's not like they're just these evil, you know, like they call the 1% of the people who are like corporate giants and just taking over the world. The Pareto principle is different. It's 20% of people that are really, you know, going for the gold, I guess, essentially. And 80% of the people are just settled on being average. And so it's like, do you want to be, I mean, an average comes in different types and sizes. If I was to just quit learning, you know, and wasn't trying to get any better, then that would also put me in the bottom 80%. Even though I've come this far and I've been drawing for as many years as I have, if I was to just like settle, I think at any point it's like you kind of immediately become part of that lower 80% who's not constantly growing. I think that's like probably the key right there, is continuously growing, because many times they say, the ether, if you're not, you know, getting stronger or getting weaker, if you're not improving in your skill, you're decreasing, or whatever the word is. That's not to say that you should become obsessed and you should give up, you know, your life. Not saying that, but I am saying maybe there are some things in your life you can give up. I'm trying to debate right now whether or not I should give up dancing, which is one of my hobbies that I've been practicing for a while. I really enjoy it and everything. I love it, but I'm like wondering if the time and money is better suited working towards my bigger goal, which is getting better with my art. So I don't know. I haven't fully decided yet, but I'm trying to like wonder. I want to have a happy balance, happy medium, but I'm trying to figure out what that looks like, and if I can reach my goals, my creative goals and my work goals, while still, like, what is still up for grabs and what is not. I know for sure, like, especially in my 20s, I used to play a lot of video games, and it's alright, you know, to play video games sometimes. I still do sometimes, but I realize the way that I used to play, I can't do that anymore. Like, I can't, you know, spend, you know, hours and hours on a game. You know, I used to really enjoy that, but it wasn't taking me anywhere. It doesn't, if it doesn't improve who you are as a person, then I don't know, is it worth it? But also here, it's like it's just such a, like a yin and yang, like a push and pull, because I also hear that anything that, you know, gives you joy is never a waste of time, which is also true, I believe, but there's a limit, I think, to all of that. There's always a limit, and I think you really have to practice the self-control and, like, even being a little strict sometimes, if, you know, you really want something in life. If you don't care, if you don't really, it doesn't really matter to you to make a difference with what you're doing, then that's a whole other story. But if there's something, I mean, speaking to artists specifically, if there's someplace you want to take your art, you want it to go, then you really have to start to weigh, like, what's important and what's not. It can be challenging. It even makes you think of, like, major life decisions. So it's something to think about, like, because one thing that you might have heard is, like, you can have it all, but you can't have it all at the same time. So that's what I'm trying to figure out now, is like, okay, well, what do I want to do with right now? For me, I want to be around for my son. He's already a teenager, but I just didn't want him to have the sort of lock key, or what is it called, turnkey, not turnkey, that's a house expression. I think it's, what is it called, turnkey? No, it's not. You know, when you just have it, those kids, when you come home and you just come home to an empty house and you're just, you know, kind of by yourself from 2 to 6 until your parents get home. I know that I didn't want that for my son. That was kind of what I experienced. A lot of times, you know, parents don't really have much of a choice. Single parent households, like I grew up in, you know, a lot of parents don't necessarily have the choice, or I don't know, maybe sometimes you do have more of a choice than you think. It's just more about, like, what are you willing to give up to have what you want? How important is it to you? What's more important to you? These are all questions. I know it's like, doesn't need to be so heavy, right? It's an art channel, but I think it matters in the long run, these type of things. What you choose is, it's your whole life, isn't it? It's like your whole life is what you choose or not choose. And I'm seeing a spot right here where I missed painting her leg, so I'll have to fill that in. That's a good thing. One of the good things about inking too is, like, you see where you miss stuff, or you might have missteps or whatever. I'm not gonna fill in the faces yet. I'm gonna save that for the littler pen. Hold on a second. Let me see what my dog's getting into. What are you getting into, huh? What are you getting into? What are you getting into? She's chewing up cardboard, of course. I knew she was chewing up something, I just didn't know what. Had to be something. Alright. But anyway, some food for thought. What is important in your life? I don't know. I don't want to like get to the end and just question my decisions. So, but for me, it did kind of mean putting certain things on hold, because one of the like bigger things I was thinking about was like, do I want to have more children? I'm getting to the age where you start to realize that it's a limited amount of time that you have left for that. Mid to late 30s, I think, is around that time where you really start to be like, maybe I should think about this. I always hear on TV people saying things like, just freeze your eggs or whatever, like it's, I don't know. I mean, maybe I should look into it, but I hear that you have to pay like rent for them to store your eggs if you're questioning that, and I don't know that that's a viable option for everybody. But this is one thing that women have to think of that men don't necessarily have to think of, because we're the ones that have to carry the babies, and then after that we're the ones that have to bring them up. And even like I said, I have a 16-year-old, but I don't want him to be home all day alone. So it's just, man, so that makes me think I don't know that I'm ready, but at the same time, because there's all these things in my career that I just haven't accomplished yet, and it's almost hard to say it out loud, but because it's kind of painful, but at the same time I know that at least I have one, and I knew that I always did want to have kids. So I think if you are in your mid-30s and you're thinking about that and you're still trying to have your career, I would say to you, going ahead and have the baby, because you don't want to wait until it's too late and you don't have any children. That's one thing that I heard about the woman from Sex and the City. She's also in that 80s movie that I love, which probably not as nearly as many people know her from, but that's where I know her from, The Mannequin. I don't remember her name though. I'm sure you guys do, but I don't remember her name. But anyway, she said that was like her biggest regret. She kept pushing back on when she would, settle down and have kids, but she didn't want to because of her career. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to continue on in the show if she had kids, but by the time the show was over, it was too late for her to have kids, and so she never had children, and that, I think, is heartbreaking. So you have like this successful career, but you didn't achieve the family things. You see, I'm so torn with this kind of stuff, because I think that family is definitely way more important, but at the same time, it's like, I want to do something in my career. I want to feel like I've accomplished something. It's very hard, but I think it's worth talking about, especially for female artists, just because, we do have to be responsible for carrying physically the child in our bodies and all that stuff. So I don't know, maybe that's too deep for comic talk. But I think that's the way my mind works, I guess. I just think of all these types of things. These are the things I think about to myself. So I don't think I can be the only one who's kind of trying to figure that out. If you are questioning that sort of thing, you can, you know, leave a comment and say, hey, I'm thinking about that too. You're not the only one. It would make me feel less alone. No, it really, I know that there's other people that think about it, because I've heard people, you know, even successful people talk about it. And even John Stamos, he's like, he just recently had his kid, and he's a man, you know, but for the longest time he was put it off, but that's the option that men have. They just can if they want to, in many circumstances, not always. Especially if they're married already to a woman that is the same age as them, then you know, what are you gonna do? Like Sarah and Abraham, you know, that's not gonna work. Sorry, that's a biblical reference. You can look it up. But I don't know. It's complicated. It's so complicated. I don't know. I don't think I'm qualified to give that sort of advice to you, but I can just share how I think in regards to these sort of matters of the heart and of the mind. Alright, I'm gonna go in and do face details. This one is almost done though. Look at this. The nib is pretty tiny now. I don't know if you can even see that, but it's pretty minuscule. And by the way, I'm offering a new opt-in on my website. So if you would like or are interested in getting a free sketchbook filled with more than 25 pages of my lion illustrations, they're all like drawings, illustrations, and character designs from my 1000 Lions for Kenya collection, which is a collection I started back in 2015. The goal is to draw 1,000 lions. It's sort of like a sister series to this. It's like, it seemingly surfacely has nothing to do with this. But I just thought it would be a cool campaign. I thought I could do something fun with it, which it has been a lot of fun, drawing lions all different types of ways, and painting lions and illustrating lions and designing lions, because I do talk about it, you know, briefly in the book. The lion, for me anyway, is a symbol of my family, because my grandfather and I used to watch the David Attenborough series all the time, and it was especially exciting to see the lion hunts, and we would always get all, you know, all the excitement would just rile up in our home whenever the lion hunt was on. And that was a big part of the show, whenever they would show, you know, hunts. But I think lions are, even though lions are technically nocturnal, I don't know what it is. It must be the fact that they have so many, and I don't know, so don't quote me, but I'm assuming it must correlate somehow with, what is it called? The migrations that they have. Especially, I know in Eastern Africa, there's so many migrations because of the rainy seasons. So they'll get like these influx of zebras and wildebeest, and they'll come in at certain times of the year, and they'll have a lot of, you know, hunting going on during the day. And I don't know if that's the reason why there's so many of those videos out there, or why that's like probably the most recorded hunts. Definitely the most that I've seen on nature television is lion hunts. But I don't know, that would be a good thing to kind of figure out. There's, even though they're nocturnal, there's so much footage of lions hunting in the day. I don't know, that would be a good thing to sort of figure out. But anyway, lions have had that family connection for me, and also just being a symbol, you know, that I would see in my grandfather's, you know, office space, and what came to be for me a symbol of African culture and pride and strength. So I talk about it a little bit in the book, but it's not a wordy one. It's all illustrated, and lots of nice ones, a couple of loose ones and funky ones, but it's a lot of nice illustrations in there. So if you guys want a free copy of that, you can go to my website and sign up for our new mailing list, which is only a bi-weekly newsletter of like the latest things happening. So it's brand new. I just started it yesterday. So if you got an email from me yesterday, you probably signed up with me at some point, and probably through Meetup or through me knowing you from somewhere. And that's why you got the email. But if you would like a copy, yeah, just go to my website, and I'll link that one in the bottom too. And what else? Gotta fix her mouth a little bit there. And while I remember, let me go ahead and put in her little bit of jean pants right there. My skipper is getting in all kinds of trouble. I can just hear it. Skippy! Skippy! What are you up to? Skippy. Hi, Skippy. It's my coach. Her full name is Skippy Luna Dianne Bad Heartful. It's a really extra name, but that is it. Just filling her pants in a little bit more prevalent. And let's see what else we can do. Got another face detail over on this side. I'm also working on, I think I talked about this early on in this video, but I am working on my painting. I want to put some new items in my Etsy shop, and I am myself more of a traditional artist, but I also enjoy painting digitally, and I also have a really strong desire to improve my digital painting. So I'm going to be working both ways for a while and figuring out, you know, how I want to go about things. I think I'm going to be more on the traditional side, but I want to see how digital can inform my traditional paintings, if that makes sense. And I want to see if I can enhance my traditional paintings with digital. And I don't know, and I don't mean by editing my traditional in Photoshop, even though I do that with my watercolors, but I want to see if I can use some of the information and, you know, bring that over. So it's a sort of an experiment at the moment, but I'm excited to be painting and working on a collection again, even though it's brand new. I quite enjoy painting. I'm excited to share with you guys when I have that stuff more available. Alright, let's see what we can do with this. I'm going to be adding my other lines with the brown. Let's see, my fence lines. Always try to remember to use the ruler when I'm doing really specific lines with my ink. Certain lines I don't bother, but if I'm doing something like the edge of something that's really going to stand out, then you kind of have to, at that point, you have to come back and use the ruler and make it look really legitimate. Alright, I think I'll also use it for this little hay bin that I got here. And I'll use it for like the little details in the dirt and stuff like that. Well, not the ruler, but I'll use the brown. For all that good stuff. Alright. I'm not sure that, I don't know if I can, I'm trying to think of what I can discuss at this point. I did talk about wanting to know if I should pre-record my videos to make them more enhanced. Add some flavor enhancer by pre-recording my videos. I'm trying to think about that. I'm wondering if maybe that would be a good idea. Still kind of debating it. I like the convenience of being live, but it's not just about what I like, it's about how I can make this more engaging for you, of course. So, I'm trying to figure that part out. Which I haven't quite yet. Have not quite yet. Oh well. Maybe if I do like a different, maybe for the next series, perhaps.
which I want to use some. I want to do some digital illustrations for next. But I also would like to do some more traditional stuff. Not sure if I'm gonna record like the acrylic painting stuff, but if it's something that you're interested in or something that you would like to know more about, if you have not done acrylic painting or would like to learn about it, I can definitely share that too, because I'm going to be doing some new acrylic paintings pretty soon. Because I want to show what I can do. But let's see, how can I best get to you? I think I want to keep talking about what we were discussing earlier about like this idea of being the best. And I don't know if it's necessarily a bad idea to shoot for. Just don't, how can you be like a humble best? Like humbly being like taking pride in what your craft is. I think that's what it takes. I think it's like success demands like no less than that, because I was even watching like a Jeff Dunham documentary the other day, and it was just exactly that. He was talking about like, I had no idea this guy has been working with, he's a stand-up comedian that does what is it called when you work with the puppets? Puppetry, but what is the word? It's right there in the tip of my tongue. When you can talk for the thing at the same time where people can see you. I want to say ventriloquist? I don't know where I got ventriloquist. But I thought this was just like his thing that he did on stage. You know, maybe he'd been doing it for 5-10 years, whatever, before he became famous. He's been doing it since he was like 6 years old. Like, he got his first puppet when he was a little kid and started practicing in the mirror and got a book on it, Fun with Puppets or something like that. I had no clue how long he had been doing it. I mean, it makes sense because obviously he's become very successful, but I didn't know what it took. I mean, everybody who becomes something, even I went to an Angels Stadium. I went to my first like major league baseball game ever, because I'm not a sports person. My husband was celebrating his birthday and I got him tickets to go, and of course so we went with him as a family to this baseball game. But you know, it's not something that I would ever do on my own, but it was fun. I enjoyed it because I was with my family. You know what I'm saying? He's not gonna buy like tickets for like, you know, Comic-Con or whatever on his own. We are different in that way. But what am I saying? Oh yeah, so I went to the baseball game and they have all these pictures of all the players, you know, all the Angels players sprung about the stadium, and it shows like their kid pictures. It's all of them as like little kids with baseballs and like baseball bats and like, you know, playing little leagues and all these things. And it's like, well, of course they've been playing since they were little kids. But you don't think about that necessarily when you go to see them. You don't think about all the years of effort that somebody put into this stuff. But it's the same with art too. It's the same. Like, these people practice, and you think about what does it take to be a major leaguer. You know, they're not practicing once a week. You know, they're not doing their thing, you know, every so often. They're doing it every day, every 7 days a week right now. I was looking at their schedule. 7 days a week they have a game. And they're playing every single day, and they're practicing when they're not playing. And I just think, you know, and I was looking at the website for this artist who I really admire, and he's a character designer now for Pixar, and even he was saying, you know, he had to give up. His name is James Woods, by the way. If you want to look him up, you have to actually put James Woods art, because it's such a common name. If you just put James Woods, you'll get like a bunch of random people. But this guy was like, I looked at him, I didn't know how old he was. I assumed that he had to be like in his 50s, just because of his ability. He's so like talented. And when I looked, he's like, he looks younger than me, honestly. Like he's in his either late 20s, early 30s, and I'm mid to late 30s. But I was like, dang, he's really young. But when I was reading his post, and he said, like, you know, he's had to give up so much to be where he is. All the nights when people were out partying and his friends were doing stuff, and he decided not to go. He decided to stay and draw and to work on his craft. And I thought, you know, that's what it takes. It doesn't, like, you can't be okay and make it to the big league, so to speak, which for us is, you know, the DreamWorks, the Disney, the Pixar. You can't be a hobbyist and make it that far. You kind of have to have the bigger goal in mind. And that's why I'm saying, like, I think it's okay to strive to be the best. Don't let it overtake the things that are important to you. Have your spiritual time, have your quiet time, do your volunteer work, your charity work when you can. But what are you doing, you know, that is meaningless, that takes up, you know, it's the meaningless things that take up the biggest parts of our life. It's not, you know, going to your place of worship. It's not, you know, volunteering once a month at a food bank. It's not those things that take up the biggest chunk of your time. Typically, the biggest chunk of your time is what you're doing that contributes nothing to your success. Like, you know, binge watching a TV show, playing video games nonstop, going out to eat when it's not necessary, or going to a party when it's not necessary. You know, invite your other artist friends over and just have a drawing party. Order some pizza and stay sober, because I realized early in my career that you cannot become the best at anything if you're not sober. That's just like rule number one. If you want to really be good at something, you really have to be clear-minded. So be sober, get some pizza or some takeout, and like just have a drawing party. Let that be your entertainment. We used to do that all the time when I used to go to SVA, and we would just have nights where we would just all get together and we would draw, because we had, you know, these big deadlines. But you know what happens when school ends and you don't have deadlines anymore? I think it's still important to go ahead and do the drawing parties and go ahead and work to become what it is that you want to be. Work to become, you know, don't do what you're doing, don't do your life's work, don't do the love of your life half-ass. Like, really do it. You know, I've had many times in my life where I have been half-assing, and I don't want to do that ever. I want to be in the big leagues, not in the chicken pool. Whatever the chicken pool is. But you know exactly what I mean. I don't think you want to be in the chicken pool either. So, Don't be in the bottom 20%. I mean, don't be in the bottom 80% with everyone else who's lazy and, you know, or excuses. I think more than being lazy, people are afraid. I was there. I was afraid. I didn't apply to the big studios because I didn't think I was good enough. And even if I wasn't, I should have tried anyway, so I could learn and grow from my wherever I needed to improve on, which I think you should do. But you're never going to get anywhere if you're not trying to get somewhere. So keep friends near you who are doing the same things as you. It's okay to associate and have acquaintances that do other stuff, but I think your closest people, some of your closest people, should be in the same realm as you. That way you can encourage each other to do the same things and you can do them together. Like right now, I don't have any friends necessarily close to me that are really into this, and I want to change that. I did while I was in school, but since then it's like it hasn't been easy, and I just think, you know, who are the people I spend the most time with other than my family, and who could it be, you know? Maybe I could, you know, meet more people, and that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to start the meetup. And I have thankfully met some people, and I want to meet more people who are interested in drawing and painting and doing art for a living, and not doing it as a hobby but doing it as their life's work. So with that being said, all in all, I think I will let you all go and do your thing. Get out there and make some art. Get out there and turn off those consoles. It's okay to have a designated time to relax. I think everyone should have a designated day off to relax once a week. But outside of that, push yourself. Push yourself harder to get where you need to go, because nobody can do the legwork for you. Nobody can do your figure drawing for you. Nobody can do your wildlife drawing for you. You have to just go ahead and do it. So I would highly recommend that you take the time and you get out there and do your thing. That's my advice, because I'm going to be doing mine. I'm not just saying that to you, I'm saying that to me. Meetup is now going to be meeting twice a week at LA Zoo for drawing animals, because I think learning to draw animals is incredibly important. So we're going to be there twice a week, once a week for observational drawing, and second is for character design with animals. So you can check me out on the meetup. Make sure you get that free copy of the 1,000 Lines for Kenya Cubs edition, and I'll put the link in the bio for the new book that I've just finished illustrating. And here is one more page of Jaydi's story. Ready to rock and roll. One page at a time. That's all it takes. Just get better and better. Let me see if I can clear that up for you. Yeah. Get better and better. One page at a time. That's all it takes. I'm gonna flip my camera, and I'm going to tell you personally how much I appreciate you being here with me and drawing with me for the last hour. I'm going to be back here next week, but in the meantime, be at the zoo. Check our website, check the meetup, and let me know what you think. Write me, comment, subscribe, all of that good stuff. I really do hope that you stay connected, because I really appreciate you being here. And with that being said, I will see you next time, but make sure to be grateful
live balanced, and be yourself, and be the best that you can be today. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.